Okay. Um, Devlog number two for my CLI based text based game. Made a few changes and added a couple small features that I think are pretty cool. It took care of a couple of GitHub issues that I made. Kind of using GitHub issues as a to do list, like I do that for every project that I work on by myself. So let's start the program. So I made it so that way there's two kind of levels or two command lines, I guess you could say, once the program begins. So obviously not the up here on this level, the actual command line to run program, but once the program starts, there's what I call the root command line. The root command line has a series of commands. You can do slash commands to see them all. Um, this is kind of acting as like a video game's main menu where you can do start, settings, load, and stuff like that. New game, whatever. This is going to act as that. So right now we have start, restart, exit, quit, and they are the same. I just figured anyone could, if they want to do one or the other. Slash commands, which I just did. Slash game, which tells you the information about the game, and slash clear, which is one I added recently, which clears the terminal. It'll make sure you want to do that. It'll ask you, it'll tell you it's possibly a destructive decision. I want to word this a little bit better, but you just say yes or no, and it clears it. No big deal. I figure I'd give that little warning because in the event, this command also works in the game as well. Once the game is started, maybe there's something on there you wanted to really read or something, and you accidentally, yeah, I'll just clear it up. Maybe it'll clear just the first line or something. Nope, clears the whole thing. So let's go ahead and start the program now, or start the game. The program has started. The game was not started. Now it is. So I added this ANSI or ASCII art. I think it's ANSI art. Just found a generator online, typed in the name, and formatted it for C. So it starts you off right now. The start command acts as a new game command. Eventually, when I have saves and loads, um, start will still act as new, but you won't have to use the start command over and over again to start the game. You can do load to load your progress from last time. Um, I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Okay, so you have to have a first name, um, but the next check is a last name or a dynasty name or a house name, because it's kind of like RPG, medieval, fantasy type of deal. So your character might come from a great dynasty. Eventually, I'd like to incorporate maybe like if somebody adds in a special name, like an Easter egg almost. If you say a specific dynasty name like House Stark or Dynasty of Stark, like from Game of Thrones, maybe it gives you some type of perk or something. I don't know. I think that'd be pretty cool. You just have to guess. So is this correct? Say yes. Do you come from a dynasty name? So usually I would just say yes and I'd end my last name, but I've added in a couple small things to help um, people who, if anybody uses this and doesn't quite read things, if you say no to an option that you do have a choice in, you'll be prompted in yellow text to kind of warn you, like, hey, that you may have noticed earlier the red text. This is a destructive act. When I did the clear command, that was red. I was, red usually can mean bad, like stop think before you do something. Um, Yellow is kind of the same thing here. So are you sure you've chosen not to have a dynasty name? Are you sure? Yes. Right now that doesn't matter, but eventually it will, because people in the game or like NPCs or something will refer to you as Marshall, whatever dynasty name. Enter name here. Okay, so next would be your gender. You don't have to have a gender if you don't want to. I'm going to say no here. You'll be prompted with the same thing, but just in regards to the gender. Are you sure? Yes. Then you have to pick a country of origin. We'll just go with one. You can type out the number or the word for either of those, for any of those, I should say. It'll give you a quick description about that country that I made up. Nothing fancy. Yep, that's where we're from. Profession. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing here. We're going to click none. You chose not to have a profession. This may affect aspects of your gameplay. Again, right now it won't because there's no real gameplay. This is just the starting up, like the startup leading up to it. Are you sure? We're going to go ahead and click yes. And we're going to be a warrior. So once you click yes here, this is the last part of the main creation. The next thing is there's a function that runs once you click yes here. You are given a health pool, and you are also given a mana pool. For I don't know what it is for each one. I forgot. I have to look through what I did, but those are automatic. Those are just given to you. If you're a warrior, your health is a little bit higher than if you're a mage or a rogue, or and if you're a cleric, it's a little bit higher than the others as well. If you're a mage or a cleric, your mana is a little bit higher than a warrior, or a lot higher than a warrior. So that's going to come into play once the game really gets going. So right now, you see that we have welcome to the world of Etheria, which is, this needs to be spelled correctly. And it says warrior, tells me my class and the name that I entered. I didn't want a last name, so it just enters my first name. You have been given 10 points to allocate to your skills. You can allocate points to the following areas. So here, this is new. At first, I had it to where no matter what you did, you were just given a certain amount of strength points, intelligence and dexterity and luck points. But I figure it would be better to give people the option to do it themselves. So you can either type in, let's say it says which area would you like to apply, and it also shows you how many you have left. Well, you can enter 1 for strength, you can enter STR for strength, or you can enter the whole word. Let's just do STR, and then it says how many points would you like to allocate into strength. You can only do 4 at a time. That's the max. You can give more, but 4 at a time. I don't want someone to enter 1,000 and then break things. There is a bug in here that I have to fix with this, and I don't remember how I can recreate it. I might recreate it right now, to be honest. So we'll do 4, which is the max you can do at one given time. So, oh, I put the wrong key. You have 6 points left. Okay, so it subtracts what you entered and what the pool that what you were given is. So let's go ahead and do. We can do it again. 1 for strength, and we'll give it 4. So you can still do that. So we've given strength 8 points out of our 10. Just no more than 4 at a time. Just cause I might change that. And let's just do intelligence, and we'll give intelligence 2. See how once you select this one, the color here, I think it would be good to have things just not all being white. You click enter, and then you see how it says please make a valid decision. So this is one of the bugs that I found. I have to figure this part out, but it then does a confirmation. Are you sure you want to continue with these points in these areas? We've allocated 8 to strength and 2 to intelligence. You would enter yes or no. If you enter no, it would run that again and would allocate points again. But if you enter yes, you have chosen to continue with these points. Now this is where the game would start up. Technically, like the story would begin. It would start reading from that text file, chapter 1 text file. But for now, because there's no combat or anything initialized yet, or there's no combat yet, I have it to where it's just the in-game command line. Remember I said there were 2 now. The in-game command line where the in-game commands can be ran. So if you do commands, now the commands will be a little different than what was listed above. Commands, there we go. So you can see here in-game commands, info, exit, or /exit, /quit, /restart, /commands. All of these were the same from the root level. They're just the same one, but now we have more. Info is new because you wouldn't be able to see hero info on the root level because the game hadn't started yet. Technically, the game has started. Game, you can see this was a command from the other level as well. Clear, W, and R. So I've added in, technically this one was an old one, but I'll show them all off. So let's go ahead and type out clear first because it's getting a little cluttered. So the clear command, same thing, works as it did on the root level. Are you sure? You can do yes or Y. I think you can also do 1 if you want. I know there's a typo here, enter and in-game command. I know, I'm aware of that. So let's go ahead and do info. Oh, /info. Yeah, there you go. So slash info will bring up your character's information. See how it's got my first name, dynasty name, and gender. I chose not to give so that there's no value for those. You can see here, hero health and mana is just automatically given to you. A level is automatically assigned to your character as well. That has to come into play some other point. I have to work with XP and how much XP you get doing certain things, all that. You can see your stats allocation. You applied 8 to Dex, or I'm sorry, 8 to Strength, 0 to Dex, and 2 to Intelligence, and 0 to Luck. And that's your info. Eventually, it'll be. I think it can show some more things, maybe like enemies slain or something like that, or I don't know. Money earned versus gold lost or spent, or I don't know. So that's that. So let's use clear again. And do yep. And let's do the next one, which is going to be, I think, /W. This one I like a lot. So I wanted to create it to where it's an RPG game, and eventually I want this to be like a longer thing, a lot of reading, a lot of like contemplating, understanding things. So I created 2 commands, or I've created the W command. W command is write. It's short for write. You can also just do /write. What this does is opens a notepad and allows you to, you can kind of see on the left hand side, notepad.txt. It allows you to write something short. So like, I slayed a dragon and didn't pick up or didn't loot the body. Next time, loot it. And you click enter, and it'll say note added successfully, as long as it reads that file and whatnot. And it recognizes that file does exist, which it will exist as long as this command runs properly, because that command creates the file and then it, allows you to write to it. So you can see here it goes back from enter a note to enter an in-game command. So if we go to our notepad.txt file, we can see here we have it. Honestly, the dragon didn't loot the body. Next time, loot it. So maybe 3 days go by and another dragon appears in your game or something like that, and you're like, man, there's something. I wrote a note about the dragon or something like that. You can go back and see. Now, obviously, most people wouldn't want to go to the file structure and then see a notepad, a text file. So that's where the R command comes from, which is read. You can also do /read. So if you do that, it prints what that was in the text file into the terminal. So let's do another one. This is another entry. Okay, and then we do R again, and it reads both. You can see here. It's a little cluttered. Maybe I don't know what I want to do with it. But it does get a little cluttered. So what you can see here, start of entry number 1 was a minute ago, and then the second one was just now. So then we go clear, and then we do yes, and there we go. So those are the features I've added. I think that was pretty much it. I also kind of cleaned up the code a little bit more, and yeah, that's it. So devlog number 2.